What's up everyone, it's Tube and welcome back to another If Legendary Pokemon Could Mega Evolve video. As highly requested from the Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire hype, today we're gonna look at the legendary Regi trio, Regirock, Regice and Registeel, and how they could turn out if they were to Mega Evolve. First up is Regirock. Now Regirock is the first member of the Regi trio and is the physical one out of the three, specializing in attack and defense. It has the second highest defense stat in the game at base 200, and in combination with its base 80 HP, it can be a tough wall to break. It has a pretty good move pool filled with different typed attacks, from Stab Stone Edge to Drain Punch, Iron Head, and the Elemental Punches. But even with great offensive stats, it's best used as a defensive or support Pokemon, used to set up entry hazards, weather, and status afflictions. With weaknesses to 5 common types in the X and Y metagame, most of which are common special attackers, it has a tough time fighting off these weaknesses, and there are much better alternatives for a physical wall, like Skarmory, with its strong defense, sturdy ability, and roost to reliably heal it up. If Regirock were to Mega Evolve, it would be able to wall opponents much more effectively and even outclass those other walls. Maintaining its strong physical side, it should mainly get a boost to its attack and defense, as well as keeping it balanced by boosting its special side. Speed is one thing I cannot see these golems gaining after Mega Evolving. These golems aren't meant for speed, they'd probably just become more of a tank. It should retain its pure rock typing, but get the ability Regenerator. Now hear me out, and it'll all make sense by the time you're done with this video, and feel free to disagree in the comments below. Regenerator is an ability that restores a third of your HP each time you switch out. Regirock's Pokédex entry always emphasizes the fact that Regirock can attach rocks to itself to repair itself, and it makes a lot of sense for it to repair itself each time it switches out, just like Regenerator. Here's a fan design for how a Mega Regirock could look. Its hands and feet grow rock-styled claws, spikes form at its sides, and its overall body grows larger and smoothens together. It no longer looks like a bunch of rocks that make up the Pokemon, but rather an actual full rock-based Pokemon. Its much bulkier appearance supports the idea that it would get a major boost to its offenses and defenses while retaining its low speed, and I can definitely see this thing being the actual Mega Regirock in the games. Moving on, next up is Regice, the member that specializes in its special stats, namely its special defense. The Regi share the same base move pool with small variations, so like Regirock, it has a great move pool filled with a ton of attacks that can make it a threat, from attacks to support and status moves that can really make this thing a hard special tank to take down. But like Regirock, it's weak to typings that are commonly used, especially as physical attackers, which is the best way to knock out this thing. It also has no way to heal its HP or status except by using Rest, which can really leave it vulnerable. And being more of a defensive Pokemon, it's easier to Toxic Stall than offensive Pokemon. And even though it has amazing potential as a special defender, there are a ton of better special walls, like Blissey, Goodra, or Florges. If Regice were to Mega Evolve, it would be able to get that boost needed to become relevant again. It should mirror Regirock's stats by mainly getting a boost to its special stats as well as its physical stats with no change in speed. Now Mega Regice is in its own league. It's got much more defensive potential to both special and physical attacks. Don't forget that a base defense of 120 is actually really good, even for base 80 HP. It should retain its pure ice typing, but get the ability Magic Guard. Regice's Pokédex entries always emphasize how its body cannot be harmed, namely by lava, and it makes sense for Mega Regice to get Magic Guard, and that is exactly the ability Regice needs. Think about it, with Magic Guard, you cannot damage it at all with indirect attacks. Toxic? No problem, you just gave it immunity to further status conditions. Stealth Rock? Didn't feel a thing. With amazing special defense and Magic Guard, Regice would definitely become relevant again. Here's a fan design for a possible Mega Regice. Regice has always been shown to levitate in the games and in the anime, so its design is based off a more off-the-ground obelisk. Its ice crystals multiply and expand to give it sharper edges, and its arms become disconnected to give it that mystic look. This design really does suit a special Pokemon like Regice, and I can imagine it holding its hands together to fire off a special attack, like Ice Beam or Focus Blast. And finally, the third member of the trio is Registeel, the balanced one out of the three. Registeel's stats are a combination of Regirock's and Regice's stats scaled down. Because it's strong in both its physical and special side, it has much more freedom for running multiple sets. And because it has no real weak defense, Registeel is considered the strongest of the three Regis. Like the other members, it has a similar base move pool with slight variations, but is also open to a ton of new physical and special attacks that the other two members cannot learn. But the biggest reason why Registeel is considered the best out of the three is because of it being a steel type. Steel is possibly the best single defensive typing, with resistance to a ton of types. They've definitely got the reputation. I mean, before fairy type, steel was the only thing that resisted those massive dragon attacks. And you can't even toxic stall it, as it's immune to poison attacks. But for those of you who play by Smogon rules, you'd know that Registeel is actually in the second lowest tier, with the other two being the lowest tier. And Registeel may have killer defenses, but like the other two, a stab super effective attack will do a number on it. Throwing a paralysis, burn, or tricking a choice item onto it can cripple it, and even with its great move pool, Registeel is not the best at fighting back. Registeel is best used as a defensive or support set, and there's always a ton of Pokemon that can counter each of its sets. It can only do so much. If Registeel were to Mega Evolve, it would not be playing games. It should get a major defensive and special defensive boost, as well as getting a smaller boost to both its offenses. With base 180 defenses and 80 HP and a good defensive typing, Registeel would be a much better wall. And with more offensive power, it would be worth investing in its offenses, as its defenses can be high even without EV investment. It should retain that pure steel typing and get the ability Filter. With Filter, its defenses become that much stronger against super effective attacks, and with these immense defenses, it can take a stab, fire, ground, or fighting attack with ease. The fact that the Pokédex has always emphasized how indestructible its steel body is, with it not even being scratchable, it makes sense for it to have Filter as its ability. Now, there are two very notable designs I wanted to share with you. The first one was created in conjunction with the art shown for the first two. Its steel shell grows outward, not only giving its arms more protection, but also making it much bulkier. Its legs also morph into a pointed end, and it takes on the appearance of a mini Zoid floating around. The only thing I'm not for in this design is the fact that Registeel is not the type to float around like a Zoid, and is more of a ground golem like Regirock. The levitating look would only really fit Regice. Now take a look at this second design, which looks like a much bulkier version of Registeel. I personally like this design a lot more because of how it retains its bulky steel golem look. But one thing I wanted to point out on this design was this orb-like feature in the center. This same orb can be found on Regigigas' chest, along with an orb to represent Regirock and Regice. The idea of giving each Mega Regi their orb symbols makes it feel like these are their true ancient forms when they served Regigigas, and I just really like that connection added in this design. And unfortunately, the designer has only designed Mega Registeel so far, so I cannot show you the other two Regis, but nonetheless, it's a great design. Now take a look back at these three. They've all got their own signature defense. Mega Regirock would be able to heal itself by switching out, Mega Regice would be able to protect itself from indirect attacks, and Mega Registeel would be able to resist direct attacks much better, decreasing super effective damage. This gives each member their own specialty, making them horrifying walls in their own ways, and one can't be looked at as stronger than another. Let's just hope Game Freak has the same thoughts. But anyways, that's it for this video. Feel free to leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and let me know your thoughts on Mega Regirock, Mega Regice, and Mega Registeel, and how you think they could turn out. A bunch of new Mega Evolutions in Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire will be revealed in just a week, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the coverage. If you want to see the previous Legendary Mega Pokemon video, go ahead and check out the video on the left. You can also hit the subscribe button if you want to be alerted each time I upload a video. And let me know your thoughts on Regirock, whoa, what? Mega Regirock. Yeah, not Neji.